raw, honest, passionate, inspiring, and a whole lot of fun. Welcome to Passion Warrior TV, where we talk with inspiring people who have gone from mess to success, from surviving to thriving, from tragedy to triumph, and who are now living lives of passion and purpose. I am your host, Dallas Michael Sear, delivering to you real interviews with real people, sharing real life stories and real life wisdom. And our mission here at Passion Warrior TV is to help you ignite your passions, live your purpose, and love your life. Let's go. What's going on? Passion Warrior TV. What's up, folks? Episode number 4. We're just trucking along. I'm really excited about this. I cannot tell a lie. So in this episode, we're going to be talking with Jenna Phillips. You're going to see an incredible interview. This lady is she just oozes love and smiles and just fucking awesomeness. She's an epic rock star. So looking forward to sharing that interview with you. You can get to hear her amazing story. Before that, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I feel is one of my main messages to the world. My main mission is to share this important point with you. And I can only do it so much justice. I mean, this is literally not only it's an entire module inside of my coaching program. It is at very least an hour-long keynote talk. So, but I wanted to at least plant this seed with you, and hope that even just you having this initial concept to chew on makes a significant change in your life, a positive change in your life. And I really do believe it can. If you just give this a chance, try it on like a coat, just put it on, see if it works. And if it doesn't, you can take it off, right? That's what you do with coats. Anyway, you get my point. So what I want to share with you is that your challenges are your greatest gifts. Now, there's a lot of cliches out there. Cliches such as hindsight is, you're right, 2020, well done. Or what doesn't kill us makes us right again, stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And everything happens for a reason, right? So we say these things without even really giving a tremendous amount of thought to what they really mean, because they become so cliche. But even beyond that, what most people hear when I say that your challenges are your greatest gifts is that you're turning lemons into lemonade, that you're somehow finding this gift, this benefit in something that's shitty. And the reality is that's actually not what I'm saying. There's a whole new level of depth to what I'm sharing that I have not heard anyone else share. And some of it was pulled from life experience, really just hearing this loud message when I was going through the very worst time in my life. When I was struggling the most, that's when actually this message came clear. And at the time I was doing a little bit of reading and research on Buddhist and Hindu philosophies. And from that reading, the thought occurred, well, if that's true, then could this also be true? And I had the thought, your challenges are your greatest gifts. And again, at first when I heard this echo inside my brain, I just kind of laughed it off and didn't think much of it. But when it came up several times thereafter, I decided to do exactly what I suggested for you. Just try it on like a coat, apply it to my life, and see what difference it makes. If this is really true, then what? So the first thing that I want to share with you that came out of this realization, and this whole concept and talk has evolved dramatically over the 2 years that I've been sharing this message, well, actually longer than 2 years now. The first thing is that everything is happening for you, not to you. See, in our very limited human experience, we can look at this an external circumstance and we can say to ourselves that something bad is happening to us. But the reality is that we are spirit. God is living in you, as you, and through you. You are literally an infinite being. But from your perspective, from the filters that you now see your life through, from your beliefs, your understandings, the things that you've been taught from your personal life experiences, right? That's how you're perceiving everything, is through those filters. And through those filters, through most human people's understanding, is if something bad is happening outside, some external circumstance that appears like a challenge or an obstacle, you get fired, you are in a divorce, then something bad is happening to you. But the reality is that the spirit within you, the soul within you, the higher you came here, earth, this life, for a reason, for a purpose. And what might look horrendous on the outside for something that you might be going through is really exactly what you need. It is literally the gift that is helping to mold and shape you for what is to come. And magical things happen when you truly embrace this. In fact, when you feel like you're a victim and life is happening to you and that your challenges are exactly that, they're tests, they're roadblocks versus the roadmap to what you want, they're a roadblock from what you want. When you really believe that, you immediately put yourself into a victim standpoint. You have to feel like you're against something or something is against you in order to have that belief. The next thing that happens is that you contract. Literally, physically, mentally, your body contracts. Your breathing becomes narrow. Your ability to see opportunities and to see potential gifts, positive outcomes, becomes very narrow. In addition to that, you as a vibrating being, everything being energy, and you and I are just energetic beings, your emotional state shifts and you become less attractive to be around. You have less energy to want to go out there and do something about whatever your circumstance is. I can continue to go on and on and on, but the reverse is true when you believe you're being served, when you believe that something is happening for you versus to you, when you realize that no matter how horrible a circumstance may be, no matter what it is, and I've even had this conversation with somebody who has lost a child. No matter what it is, when you realize that all of it is perfect, it's for your highest good, that there are no mistakes, that you're being served, that everything is happening for you and not to you, when you come from that perspective, your ability to see opportunities and possibilities expands. Your body opens up. You become a magnet for what's good. Your emotional state shifts. I mean, the difference is absolutely dramatic. You are in an empowered standpoint versus in a victim standpoint. And so your ability to see opportunities from that place is a world apart from where you were previously thinking that you have to somehow use your brain power to figure out a solution and find the lesson in something versus realizing that that something, that circumstance is a lesson in itself, and then being open to all of what might be available, because you might then find a lot more gifts, lessons, and opportunities than you could have ever attempted to contemplate by looking for the one lesson or by feeling like something negative was happening to you. So I'd love to share that with you more. If that interests you at all, I'm going to share a link with you, www.adversitytoabundance.com. You can check out a full 30-minute download of that talk. And you can also reach out to me, email me, and I'll be happy to connect with you and answer any questions that you have. So let's get into our featured guest. My favorite part of the show is always sharing with you these epic individuals who have gone from surviving to thriving, living powerful, passionate lives. And today we got Jenna Phillips. Jenna Phillips is a philanthropist, a total wellness philosopher. So she started out as a personal trainer, but she has such a holistic view on life that she does far more than just train your body. And she's worked with amazing celebrities, amazing athletes. The woman is killing it. She also is the founder and creator of I'mOnAmission.com. So you got to check out, you got to check this out. Here, I'll be right back actually. Whoa, look at the hat. Do you notice the difference? It changed. So I'mOnAmission.com. She's going to be coming out with some new designs. So definitely check her out. An amazing story, amazing human being. Here you are. Wonderful interview with my friend Jenna Phillips. Enjoy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Passion Warrior TV, where we highlight amazing people like this, people who are living with passion, with purpose, making an impact in the world, people who have amazing stories that have gone from surviving to thriving, from mess to success, overcome challenges, and done it in just an inspiring way, and now living with ease and grace, which is what I love about this woman here. Jenna, I'm so grateful for you to join me.
It's so awesome to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to pulling out all kinds of amazing nuggets so that people like you and I can learn from people like you for when the chips are down, when challenges are before us. And I always like to say our challenges are our greatest gifts. So really, they're just gifts to me. But because the majority of the world still calls them challenges, we'll say that. So when those things are before us, what are the things that we can that we can do? How can we reframe ourselves? What actions can we take? What stories can we tap into that can drive us and inspire us to continue to push and live our fullest potential? Can you help us with some of that stuff, you think?
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. This is the stuff I talk about with all my clients. So this is a great opportunity to connect with him in a way that, like, we're going to be speaking the same language for the next hour, however long we're going to be doing this. So it's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So first and foremost, give me a little bit of your background, because I know a lot of folks make assumptions about where people come from when they meet somebody and they see them later in their life, obviously when they're achieving things or when they're in a better place. And I'd love to know your background. Did you come from a very convenient, well-established?
That's a really interesting question. I was raised in Northern California. I've lived all over the place, really beautiful places in California, like Tahoe, Carmel. So I'm grateful for those experiences.
Sure.
But yeah, I had a challenging time. My parents got divorced when I was 16.
Okay.
At the time, I was chronically depressed, and I played sports my whole life. Then I stopped playing sports, and there was a lot going on in my life that was really challenging for me.
Were you depressed because of the divorce?
That contributed to the experience that I was also in a very abusive relationship, emotionally abusive relationship, which is crazy. You'd think that at the age of 16 you wouldn't experience something like that, but I was in that, and I had a lot of things that were coming up for me at the same time, so it was a challenging time for me, but I just was on the wrong path. I wasn't where I was really meant to be. I wasn't following the path that I was meant to be following. I wasn't surrounded by friends who I was meant to be hanging out with. And chronically depressed, wasn't active, wasn't eating food that was nourishing for my body or for my mind. And
so give me your emotional state at the time. Chronically depressed, but what were some of the things that you were feeling and experiencing?
It's really crazy, because I'll share this with people that I went to school with, and I'll talk about what was coming up for me or what I thought about myself or the way that I was perceived, and people were like, "What? That's crazy." So I at that age thought that I didn't have any friends.
Okay.
I thought that people didn't like me. I thought that I wasn't enough. I wasn't funny enough, cool enough. It was this conversation of I'm not enough. And so that was a consistent conversation.
That's what's going on internally for you.
Yes.
When people say, "Oh my God, that's crazy, I can't believe that," what were they experiencing? Or what did they tell you they were experiencing?
Well, I actually had a challenging time in high school. I'm not a victim, so I've really shifted my conversation out of victim into cool. So I manifested that for whatever reason.
Right. That's what you needed to learn.
But it was a challenging time for me. Kids were not that nice.
Okay.
But I guess that at that age, kids are just kind of mean in general, typically. But
they can be.
But I was so nice.
Yeah, stop that, kids.
I was so nice to everybody, so it didn't make any sense to me. I never understood why kids were the way that they were with me. Sure.
Yeah, I got bullied.
So yeah, I got bullied a lot. But what's interesting about that is, it's when people act out in that way, they're coming from a space of fear. Like they feel like they're not enough, so they're trying to get their power back, or they're trying to make themselves feel better. So I now realize that I was never really meant to blend in with the masses, because I know that I'm a leader, and I know that I do stand out, and we're all really meant to stand out. We're not supposed to fit in, really, if you think about it. We're all unique. We're all meant to be our own person. Right. So I never really felt like I fit in anywhere.
So we fit in by standing out.
Absolutely. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, that's who we're meant to be. We're all meant to be our own person. And so I had a really challenging time, and I just never felt accepted by anybody.
Okay.
so I'm in this depression. I feel like nobody likes me. I don't have any friends. And I used to lay in bed at night and wish that I could see my own funeral, because I wanted to see who would show up to my funeral. I would obsess about it. It was something I gave a lot of energy to.
Wow.
And
I've given thought to that personally, because I've done exercises. It's always a good exercise if you've never been to a workshop or did an exercise where they tell you to kind of like write your eulogy, like picture, or even the people surrounding you and what your experience is at your 100th birthday. You're 100 years old. All the best people are around you, or the people that you would want around you. What are they saying about you? What are the experiences that you've had, or you're dead? What does it say on your tombstone? What's the experiences that you've had? What impact have you led?
Yeah.
But you're how old having this thought?
16.
So this is just
16, 17.
So you're just laying in bed thinking this on your own.
On my own, totally just wishing that I could experience that, because and the visual that I would have wasn't inspiring, it wasn't powerful, it was really sad. I mean, there were a few people who would show up to my funeral, and it was really dark, and there were some flowers from the previous funeral that were there. It just wasn't isn't it, the detail, it's crazy. So I would obsess about it. I know. I mean, I was
someone
like,
else's flower arrangement still
nobody
left
even
over.
brought me flowers.
They're like, don't move those, because she's got no one coming. We need something here.
We gotta have some kind of color in this place.
That's how you pictured it.
So that was it was a really dark time for me.
Yeah.
But then I decided that I didn't want to die, and I started to construct or build in my mind a different scenario. I thought, well, what if I could be in some kind of an accident that would be serious enough for me to be in the hospital, and then I could see who would show up to my hospital bed, or who would show up to my hospital room.
Right.
And I would obsess about it. And after many, many months of having these thoughts, I was in a head trauma accident. It was crazy. I was decorating for a huge party I was going to have at my house. Party of the year, promoter here.
Right.
So I was cleaning out this barn, like the hayloft of the barn, because we're going to have all the paraphernalia. We're away from the street. Cops wouldn't find us. It was a property that my parents had. And so we were decorating. I was up in the hayloft, and I was hanging a sheet on the ceiling, and I was walking backwards, and I ran out of floor, and I fell 14 feet through the opening in the floor. Don't remember falling at all, which is a blessing.
Right.
But I was unconscious immediately. I was in a coma.
What did you hit? You 14 feet to what?
On cement.
Cement.
On my head, on concrete.
Wow.
Which is.
So you should have broken your neck. You should have completely fractured your skull.
Doctors were surprised that I was not paraplegic.
Yeah.
That I didn't break my. I fractured my skull, 2 brain contusions, so a brain contusion either side. So my brain was bruised, and that's what caused the swelling. But I didn't break anything.
Were you there alone?
I was with friends. I was with like 10 people.
Right.
Yeah. So luckily, I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect that I was, and I really believe that I was caught by my spirit guides or my angels, or I was protected by something, because it doesn't make any sense for me to fall at the level that I did.
Yeah.
There was nothing caught me.
Right.
And I manifested this experience because there was standing room only in my hospital room. I was in the ICU. They had to send people away. People that I didn't even know that I was friends with came, brought flowers. I mean, teachers. All my teachers came to see me. I had people fly in from all over the country to come see me.
So that's the part that I was trying to tap into, is that like your internal experience of yourself was that I'm not enough, but clearly what showed up.
But wait, there's more.
People that you don't even know.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. If you keep watching now, you'll get
what's coming up in like 10 seconds. So I wound up, I was in the hospital for a week, and I'll follow up with that in a little bit. But the point of this, the reason why I'm focusing on this part right now, to really answer your story, is your question. When I got home from the hospital, my room was covered in banners with people's signatures, writing me notes like, "We love you, we miss your smile, please come back, we hope you're okay, we're so worried about you," flowers, stuffed animals. I mean, my room was covered in love when I got home. And I missed 3 weeks of school. When I got back to my first day of school, there was on the marquee, it said, "Welcome back, Jenna Phillips." So I was so supported by so many people, and I cried when I saw that.
Sure, of course.
Because I realized, like, that is interesting. That was the affirmation that I needed. For whatever reason, that's how I needed to find out or realize that people actually really did love me, and that I showed up differently than the way that I thought that I did. And it was like these head conversations that were having me play small, hold back, doubt myself. And through this whole experience, because the doctors, of course, doubted me, they said, well, she's not going to be able to graduate from high school on time. I had a semester left of high school. So they said to my parents, I remember this meeting vividly. My mom's sitting across from the doctor's talking to my mom, doesn't even look at me, and says, "We don't think that she's going to graduate from high school on time. She's not it's just gonna be too challenging. She shouldn't even try. She shouldn't even try, were his words.
Wow.
And I remember that moment so vividly because I remember this burning sensation that I had in my stomach. It was like my fire, my solar plex, my...
The words that you needed to really push you.
It was this burning sensation that I will never forget. And I can't put words on it because it was such a visceral experience.
Sure.
But I remember thinking, you don't know me.
Right.
Who are, and I couldn't put my thoughts into words in that moment, but I remember feeling in my body, every cell in my body, that yes, I am going to graduate on time. And I hustled.
So this is really important to grab right here because I mean, the essence that your words have power and your own belief in yourself has even more power. Like what blows me away is I interviewed a gentleman about a month ago named PJ, right? So born with severe MS, like a rare case of MS. And at 4 years old, he remembers the doctors telling his mom, if you send him to school, he won't live past 7, right? And so if any doctors are watching this, cut that shit out, right? Like there's a difference between giving false hope, right? And then pretending like you can determine someone else's fucking future. Like, let's not do that, right? And so just the importance of speaking power and belief and faith into somebody versus saying, just don't even try. Like that's mind-blowing that somebody in that profession would do that.
Had I agreed with him.
But I love what triggered for you. Love what triggered for you. Yeah, had you agreed.
Had I agreed with him, had I believed his prognosis, and that would have been my reality.
Right, yeah.
If I had said, you know what, you're right, I'm not going to do it, it's going to be way too hard, I'm not even going to try.
Right, if he's saying it, then it must be true, right? If you take on someone else's belief of who you are.
I was like, what the bleep?
Right.
Who do you think you are? And you don't know me.
Totally.
So, it was really powerful. And that's when I understood the power of I am fill in the blank. Hence the hat that you're wearing.
We'll get to this. We'll get to this.
We'll get there. We'll come back. But it was really cool because I had an opportunity to really apply myself in a way that I never had with school.
Sure.
And I never really cared about school. I mean, I was a smart kid, so I just showed up and got so grades. But I really applied myself, and I graduated with the highest GPA that I ever had because I put my heart and my passion and my commitment into it. And
so give us the frame before of your life, of your experience,
so
and the frame then.
The frame before, I was smoking weed every single day.
Yeah.
I would show up to school stoned. I was ditching all the time. I hardly did my homework. I did the bare minimum just so that I could, not fail my classes.
Right, okay.
But I got A's in some of my classes, and I just scooted by in some of the other ones, and it just didn't really matter to me. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And
you worked enough to get by.
Yeah, and it just so then I realized the value in applying myself, and I realized the value in having a set, determined mindset in such a way that it had me be committed to my vision. It had me be committed to my commitment.
Sure.
I declared what I wanted to create, and I had it happen because there wasn't any other option. Like failure was not an option for me. And because I was being doubted by people who didn't even know me, it was the most amazing blessing to really have that experience. And speaking of blessings, I was also type 1 diabetic about 8 months before. I had no idea. So when I was in the hospital, doctors were doing routine blood work on me, and they're like, wow, so your blood sugar is excessively high. And I learned that some symptoms of high blood sugar is depression, low energy. So I attribute a lot of my symptoms of depression to being diabetic and not knowing, which is crazy. So I really then I realized the value of eating food that's nourishing for my body and my mind. I just didn't know anything about nutrition before, and I really got passionate about fitness, and that's why I incorporate so much about the work that I do with my clients. It's the way that we think about ourselves, the kind of food that we're eating, the relationship we have with the food, and then also the relationship we have with our body and our thoughts.
Yeah, and so that's a big part of your work now, right? Yeah. So, if you were to kind of summarize, some of the key points, principles that you now live by that kind of came out of that period, any just here's how I think now, here's what was the biggest turnaround for me,
Just that we're the authors of our life.
Okay.
And I mean, that's been said many, many times. I didn't invent that concept, but I really got clear about the power of our thoughts, and that when we think something into existence. I mean, we can think anything into existence. I manifested this horrible, crazy accident
right.
so that I could...
So is that a process you would recommend for other people?
I wouldn't suggest that.
I don't know. Would you? Okay.
So I now I have people write love letters to themselves
we
instead.
We can laugh about it.
Write a love letter to yourself rather than fall out of a barn, because it's a lot more effective.
That's amazing, because there's a gentleman I'm going to be interviewing, and there's an organization called the Center for Integral Wisdom. Part of that organization is Outrageous Love is one of their campaigns and arms, and they're one of the number one processes actually that they give to people as an exercise to do is write 90 outrageous love letters in 90 days. And of course, they recommend you start with yourself, or that's one way that you could go. But to anyone and anything, you could write it to the planet. You could write it to a mom. You could write it to a loved one who's passed away. And so it's interesting.
That's a lot of gratitude right there.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting that that's one of your suggestions now for your...
Acknowledging ourselves is probably the most challenging thing to do. It's really easy to give compliments to other people, but somewhere along the lines, some person believed that it's conceited, or we're being conceited if we acknowledge ourselves, or we say that we're amazing, or we celebrate who we are. And I don't know who began that concept or who made that popular or famous. It's just, it is the exact antithesis of everything that we're really meant to be. We're meant to celebrate who we are and dance in our light and shine our light and be the biggest version of ourselves. And awesome. To dim that and to take that away and to be like, oh, well, I'm just really humble, so I'm never going to say anything good about myself. There's nothing empowering about that. There's nothing inspiring about that.
Sure.
And so I love to empower people to say things like, you're the most beautiful human being I've ever laid eyes upon. Like, imagine saying that to yourself in the mirror, rather than looking, going like, God, I really need to lose this inch. I need to like tone this up, and like, oh, I hate this part about my body. That's what we look in mirrors for. We don't look in our mirrors to acknowledge what we see. We look in our mirrors to fix what's not right.
Right.
We like when we're on a date, we go, gotta check my hair, gotta make sure everything looks good. But we never go to just make sure that, like, hi, you're sexy, you're beautiful, you're amazing.
Keep doing.
Can you imagine if we talk to ourselves like that all the time?
Great. Right.
Because the way that we sometimes speak to ourselves, and this is a process that I'm always working on, always practicing, because I think that, as long as we're alive, we're always going to have those insecurities in the back of our mind, and it's coming into like being able to like navigate through that and know how to handle those conversations. Yes.
I wouldn't say as long as we're alive. I'd like to believe that we can continue to cultivate such a mindset and a belief system for ourselves that eventually, actually, I do believe that can go away. I crazy enough, I also believe fear can go away. I know that sounds insane, but yeah. So not to take you off your train of thought.
No, it's fine.
But it's constant, and it's going to continue until.
For sure.
Yeah. So just know it's going to be there until.
Yes, and we always have the opportunity to say that we don't need those thoughts, or that it's not real, it's not true. So it's accessing that level of emotional intelligence where we can know that we're amazing at any given moment. So yeah, it's just really cool to be able to practice that and have that be like a natural mindset, just looking at ourselves and celebrating, rather than, oh, I need to fix this, or I don't know if I should do that, I don't know if I should, completely overcoming our fear of like being amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. So I imagine that was one of your biggest challenges. I mean, have you had challenges since? Everything just been kind of a piece of cake?
Not at all.
Okay.
That's it. I wouldn't have. It just makes life more exciting. It makes life interesting to have challenges. But I see every challenge as an opportunity. Every hurdle is an opportunity to become stronger and to become a well-seasoned athlete with life. Yeah. And but yeah, I've had so many opportunities to reinvent myself. My company actually started off as, it's called I'm on a Mission Now.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because for those who are listening on the podcast, they can't see my hat, obviously, but I'm wearing a hat that says I am, and it's saying it very boldly and creatively. I'm telling you, every time I wear this hat, someone's like, where'd you get it? Every single time. Awesome. So I'm assuming when the next line is out, you'll get 10 more orders than you would have.
Well, I actually am completely out of inventory. So for those of you listening, don't try to order hats right now, because they do not exist. My company name was Mission Possible once upon a time. And my vision, my intention was to create a place for people to share what inspires them, and also get out of their of their minds, out of their bodies, get outside and work out. So I was doing outdoor fitness classes, and it was trademarked, and it was successful for about 5 years, and I built an online following, and it was awesome.
So Mission Possible, like mission is possible.
So yeah, so a play on the words, because we have, of course, we know Mission Impossible.
Right.
But and I know that the whole thing with the movie is like, we're gonna have this mission impossible, but we're gonna get over it. We're gonna accomplish it.
Totally.
But really, to say that word impossible, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit. So I thought, all right, cool. I'm gonna create something that is empowering and inspiring, so people are conscious about the words that they use. And so Mission Possible was created, trademarked, successful 5 years, and then dun dun dun, I got a letter from the lawyers of Paramount. And they said to me that my trademark was too close, similarly, confusingly similar were the words that they used to Mission Impossible, the movie. So, of course, I was devastated at first.
What an amazing job, though, to get the attention of Paramount. You did something right.
You know, I took it as a compliment after I was devastated. I was devastated. I think I had a meltdown for about 42 seconds. And then I realized it was an opportunity. I could create it into an opportunity to reinvent myself, because every time I would say Mission Possible, people would just automatically think Mission Impossible. Like, oh, Mission Impossible, that's really cool. And I would stop them, which was an opportunity for me to have them check themselves and be clear about the power of words and language that people choose. So it was great, because I said, this is awesome. I can have this be an opportunity to create something brand new and fresh, and people aren't attached to the name of my company. People are attached to my message. And so I did some research, looked online. I'mOnAMission.com was available. MissionPossible.com was not even available. So I had JennaPhillips.com, and that was like the hub of my vision and my mission.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, so I'mOnAMission.com was available. I bought it, locked it down, and started playing around with the logo, because I also had to create a new logo. And so I was looking at it, and I go, okay, so the acronym is IOAM, and I was playing around with that, and I wanted to have a triangle in the logo, because, you know, mind, body, soul, it's very, you know, a spiritual number. The number 3 is very spiritual for me. So I was playing around with that.
Also the most, you know.
Yes.
What they say is the most powerful geometric shape in the universe.
It is. And I'm currently rocking a shirt by the Love Mob, my homeboy, Preston Smiles. He made this shirt. So yeah, much love to you, Preston. So yeah, I got to play around with it a little bit, and I wanted to create the logo, because I wanted to be connected to it and have it be something that that was my vision.
That's
so awesome. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make these into block letters, and then I accidentally made the O smaller than the rest of the letters, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, it looks like it says I am. So then I created that logo, and it really solidified my overall message for what I wanted to create with people, and work with them in such a way that they were responsible with their language and their thoughts and what inspires them. So created hats. I've shipped them all over the world, and I love that you're wearing one right now. It's awesome.
Totally. Well, because you know, I am, right? It just really the most powerful statement that you can say, and anything that follows thereafter is a declaration to the universe for what you truly believe about yourself. So if you're saying I am fat, I am stupid, I am, you know, unworthy, it's just as true as you saying I am beautiful, I am possible, I am on a mission, I am an amazing gift to this planet, as you are.
Yes, you are.
As you are.
And it's not normal or natural typically for people to speak about themselves in that way. And so the work that I do with my clients, it really is on like the fundamental basis of changing the mindset and changing the conversations and changing the adult conversations, because when we're kids we know we can do anything and we're powerful. If we want to jump off a roof and fly, we can. And so, you know, we believe anything, and our imagination is limitless, and so it's cool to see my clients shift the way that they talk about themselves, and I'll have them write themselves love letters and acknowledge who they are authentically. So what we truly know about ourselves is that we are amazing, and we can do anything, and we are beautiful, and we are unique, and we are passionate, and we are all the things that we want to be. But it's our adult conversations because our heart got broken, or our dad forgot to pick us up from school one time.
The layers that we end up putting on, you know.
So it's the rewiring. And that's the foundation of what I'm up to with this brand, and the work that I do with my clients.
And speak to me a little about actual process of working with people, right? So, you know, give me like a session with somebody, or what do you do with people now, you know?
Well, the work that I do, by trade, people would call me a personal trainer or a life coach. Yeah. But I realized very early on in my career, I'm 32 now, and when I was 23 is when I got started. And I realized that I love to teach. I love to be in relationship with people and watch transformation and facilitate transformation. So I decided to be a personal trainer or a Pilates instructor and really work in that realm. And so it was cool because I was a teacher for about a month, and then my first private client was Ben Stiller. And my first, and it's
Zoolander.
Yeah, Zoolander, that guy.
Love Ben Stiller.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting because at the time it seemed like the next logical step for me.
Right.
And I would tell people, I'm like, I'm gonna go on location for this movie that Ben Stiller is doing for A Night at the Museum.
Okay.
And people were like, what? That's crazy. You've been a trainer for a month. I'm like, I know. And most of my adult conversation is, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. But but I figured it out, and I wound up getting him in the best shape ever.
Totally.
And he acknowledged me. I'll never forget it. We were out at a big dinner with the whole production crew.
Yeah.
And he stopped everyone's conversation. He said, Jenna, you've gotten me in the best shape of my life. And it wasn't because of the stuff that we were doing. There was of course, we're training, we're working hard, and he's boxing and running and doing a lot of weight training and stuff. So there was a lot of like the doingness, but it was really the beingness, like being with him in such a way that his stress levels decreased. He began to have a different relationship with food and with his body, and it was awesome to watch that, to watch powerful, his ways of being shift.
Sure.
And so I realized that, okay, this is cool. I love working with people one-on-one. I mean, that's awesome. But when I was on this job, I realized the scope of my work was bigger than that. And I had a global vision. I said, how can I work with people in such a way that it inspires them, even if they're living in Australia or living in whatever country that I'm not.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's when I got the vision for my website and Mission Possible, and I decided that I wanted to be a global voice, be a global citizen, and inspire people all over the world to love themselves and to speak powerfully about themselves.
Right.
And so after that job, I was blessed with many more amazing clients. I even worked with princesses from Saudi Arabia. So just really random, crazy experiences. Right. A lot of musicians, and I believe that's because I buy all my music, and I think that's good karma.
Nice.
But I've loved working with these people because they're leaders.
Yeah.
And I really love working with musicians specifically because if you think about it, they are the true leaders of this world. So what they create bridges gaps, generation gaps, age gaps, gender gaps, belief systems. When people go to a concert,
it's the one language, the one universal language.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just think about it. When we go to a concert, and I'm sure that I know you're a music lover. I don't imagine. I know this about you.
Obsessed, yeah.
So obsessed, and music is everything. So when we go to a concert, we're not going, do you eat meat?
Right.
Are you vegetarian?
Right.
Are you Republican? Are you Democrat? Right. Nobody thinks about that stuff. Sure. Everyone's there, connected, united, in it, committed to listening to the music and having an amazing experience.
Time. Yeah, totally.
And so when musicians are responsible with their leadership, they can change the world.
Yeah.
And when they are irresponsible with their leadership, then our mindset, a lot of our culture and our mindset and as a society is based upon a lot of like the music that we hear. Like you really think about that, totally. The power of lyrics.
Honestly, like one of my lowest points in my life, I listened to 2 live Jason Mraz CDs, like back to back, memorize them all, and talk about like leadership in music and using your status or fame or talent for good, right? He's a great example of that.
Is.
So shout out to you, Jason.
Love you.
Definitely a passion warrior. Need to have you on the show for sure.
Yes, and you will. You will have him.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So music. So then working with your clients, I mean, give me an example of what you're doing now with somebody.
Okay, so a client that I have now, she's such a beautiful soul. She's a light worker, and she has been gifted with the challenge of gaining 100 pounds in a year. So
in 1 year.
In a year, yeah, really intense. And I've actually known her because I've worked with the family for about 7 years,
right.
And I've known her since she was a teenager, sure. and now she's going through a challenge that most people would think is the worst possible thing that you can imagine, and she's worked with like some of the best trainers. Biggest Loser trainers, people, and nothing was working. And the reason why it wasn't working is because they were so focused on the results and they were so focused on the destination, right. that the journey was not even considered. There's no self-love component in most weight loss missions, journeys.
All focus on the external.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, the issue is never the issue.
Right.
So the weight gain is not the issue.
Right.
Like, where is that coming from?
Right.
What had anyone even decide to put that weight on?
That's huge. The issue is never the issue. That's actually really, really poignant. Yeah. So go ahead. So what was the decision? How they get there, right?
Yeah. So we're working on like the metaphysical level. So I have her. My first session with her, I said, this is not a weight loss journey. This is a self-love journey. So we're going to be on a mission to have you fall in love with yourself. And she started writing love letters to herself every single day. And she's now at the point where she'll take a picture of like papers all over her desk, like, you're amazing, I love you, you're powerful, I could do anything, and she's acknowledging who she is.
Yeah, really embodying it.
And,
that's awesome.
And it's part of her DNA almost at this point. Sure. So she's really turned a corner. She's starting to lose weight. She's getting stronger. She has decided to, and this is another thing that I knew was going to be her own choice, her own path. I could have gone into her home and said, I'm throwing away everything in here that's not good for you. Right. But she would have gone out and bought it again anyway. Right. So I knew that it had to be a choice for her. So, I mean, about 6 to 7 months after our first session, she finally said, okay, I'm ready for you. And I didn't even say, hey, are you ready? Hey, what about this? She texted me and she says, I'm ready for you to come over and throw away all the food that's not good for me. So I came over and we filled up 2 big bags and I gave it to a homeless person. And so the food didn't go to waste. And it was her powerful choice. She's like, nope, I'm done with that. I don't need that. I don't need that. And so her relationship with food has really shifted because she loves herself. So when we love ourselves, we eat food that's good for us. Yeah. We move our bodies every day.
Yeah, you just make different choices for sure. Yeah, fully. Yeah. It's the source. Yeah, that's amazing. So
it's, you know, the by trade I'm a personal trainer or a life coach but you know, I feel like those terms are so diluted, and the work that I do really, I call myself a total wellness philosopher because that's essentially what I do and who I am for my clients.
Yeah.
I shift their, you know.
I love that term.
Thank you.
I love that term.
And
total wellness philosopher.
And it's all about them making the choices. I don't do the work for them. I don't take credit for anything that they do or that they accomplish. It's all their own. It's their journey. It's their mission. And so the client that I was just speaking about, the reason why her current experience is such a gift is because the work that she's doing in the world. Now she is working at a rehab center in Malibu and she's working with kids, and so she's relatable, and so she realizes that all of it wasn't for nothing. Right. And she's also teaching her parents unconditional love, compassion, loving her no matter what, rather than her trying to look a certain way, which is like the MO for the family.
Yeah, it's conditioning for many families, many people out there. So I mean, really the definition of your challenges are your greatest gifts. You know, I don't even like to use the term challenge, as I always say, but it just goes to show that to me, it's even beyond that everything happens for a reason, even beyond that it's actually happening for the good of our transformation. Right? And so that's just a powerful display that it's affecting her life, and the ripple that's causing externally wouldn't have happened without what would appear to be the worst thing that could happen to me. And why me, why now? And I can't believe I did this to myself. All the shame and guilt of where you could go with that. But when you stand in, well, how is this here to serve me? Look at all that's possible, right? In partnership with one of the best people on the planet, you, of course.
I love you.
She couldn't have called in a better person to go through the transformation with and really shine the light on what the real issue is, right? Yeah, it's powerful.
Thank you.
Really powerful.
Thank you.
So what's next for you?
What's next for me? You know, I have a lot of things cooking that I don't get to speak about just yet because I just don't get to do that yet. But a lot of really exciting things. I'm going to be doing a lot more philanthropic work. I've been doing a lot of work with kids in an orphanage in Mexico, and so I'm really passionate about that. I love teaching spin. I love watching transformation. I love experiencing people in a lot of different ways. And so the work that I'm doing with these kids in Mexico, it's an orphanage, and all the children have either been rescued from sex trafficking, or they've been sexually abused or molested, or in some way victimized. Even though I don't like the word victim, I don't like what that really denotes. But they are living life very passionately. Like, you see so much joy in their faces. You don't see broken humans. You see happy kids. And it's interesting because I go down there, I'm like, gosh, I just want to adopt one and give them a better life up here. But they're so enthralled by an empty plastic bottle, and they'll play with it for hours. And, you know, it's just a different mindset up here, you know, and they're happy with minimal things. And I really believe that is true enlightenment, to really just find joy within ourselves. Like, the joy actually is from within us. I mean, we're the creators of it. And the first time I went down there, I brought them some I am hats, and I was passing them out, and I had them own their future by saying I am the future in Spanish, which sounds like in their little voices, yo soy el futuro, and they scream it at the top of their lungs. And so I was having them say yo soy poderoso or poderosa, which is like I'm powerful. And so having them choose powerful language around themselves. And so the second time I went down there, I asked them, I said, you know, asked them in Spanish, do you guys remember me? And they would say yes by saying yo soy el futuro. So it really became a part of them, a part of their beingness.
Yeah, what a seed to plant, man. You know, that's cool. Incredible. Yeah.
Because no matter what has happened in our life, we get to choose forgiveness and to release the resentment and the hold on the resentment, because we cannot have a limitless life if we're holding on to the past. And it's in knowing that we can be the authors of our life moving forward, and actually the authors of what happened, because we can change our perception about what happened in our past and decide that, you know what, that actually happened for me, didn't happen to me, I'm not a victim. Okay, how can I shift my perspective about it? Because in the moment we make up stories, we're like, oh, this is horrible. But moving forward, if we go, cool, back then I was cheated on by the love of my life, but how grateful am I because I now have a new relationship with the man of my dreams, or whatever. So they're practicing forgiveness. They are practicing being in ownership of the future that they get to create. And we all have that capacity to do that, no matter what has happened in our life.
Totally. No question. I mean, tons to take away just from that one statement. It's massive. So some of the things that, because a big part of Passion Warrior is not just like this one, it's not about just finding your purpose or, you know, that one career that lights you up, right? Because I believe it could be many things throughout your life. And, but what's really important is that you're very clear on what your self-expression is, what drives you, what just lights you up and gives you friggin' joy in this world, and then go do that, and it'll lead to the most amazing life possible. Just do what you love. So I've heard, obviously, wellness and serving your client and give back in terms of, you know, this work with this orphanage and philanthropic work. What else like lights you up? My
favorite thing to do in the whole world is teach spin. I love to teach spinning.
Nice.
And I'd love to have you in my class anytime you want to come.
Okay.
And the reason why I love it so much is I get to express myself in such a free way. I mean, in every domain. I get to scream with love, of course, love and passion, and I get to play whatever music I want, and I set the lighting, so like the lights will change in the room, and you can be flashing or moving slowly, and like it looks like there's like stars falling from on the mirror. It's really cool. It's a really awesome
journey.
It's I get to play
totally,
and I'm connected to my inner child because I'm limitless, and my energy is through the roof because my endorphins are crazy all over the place. So it's an out of body experience for me, and I get to create metaphors for people, or create the space for them to see that it's a metaphor, like how much resistance you crank up on the bike. If you just kind of tap it up and you're like, I'm just gonna like kind of go fast, rather than like I'm gonna go for it. So it's, you can use all of those experiences and have them be metaphors for the way that we live.
How you show up in the rest of your life, right? That's awesome. I love that. It's powerful. So I imagine, I want to kind of close with this. I imagine that now your story of that final day, you know, before when you're like 16 years old and you're imagining your funeral, what's it look like now?
Sparkles, glitter, flowers, chandeliers.
And the flowers
rainbows.
are yours. The flowers are yours this time.
They're mine.
Right?
It's like it is an overabundance of flowers.
They weren't left over from the previous funeral.
No, I've got flowers sent from all over the world. So it's a celebration of my life. It's a party. More than likely there will be a unicorn or 5 of them there, probably real. I will find real unicorns. And you know, it's just, it's a totally different movie. It's a totally different experience because I'm committed to being in such celebration of my life that it carries forth with my legacy that I choose to leave behind.
You can find us at www.passionwarrior.com or email us at info@passionwarrior.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, passion_warrior, or find us on iTunes and YouTube at Passion Warrior TV.